The guy looked at Jesus and said, I don't know who the Messiah is, but if you'll tell me who it is, I'll believe you, and I'll believe him. Just point him out, and you'll believe? Yeah, the guy's thinking, because I trust you. I trust you because you served me. I trust you because I used to be blind and you made me see. I trust you because you cared enough to not make me a theological discussion point, but to do something to better my life. So you know what? I trust you and where you're coming from. And you just point them out, I'm going to believe. Jesus said, you have now seen him. Boy, did that take on meaning. In fact, he is the one speaking to you right now. And the man said, Lord, I believe. And he worshiped Jesus. I don't know who the Messiah is. But if you tell me, I'll believe. Because I trust you. Why did this guy trust Jesus? Because Jesus served him. Without strings, without reservation. Remember, he did the mud and walked away. Jesus said, I'm going to give of what I have to you to make your life better. And that simply quieted any concern this man had as to Jesus' motives, because obviously you actually care about me. So point me in the direction that I might simply believe. And maybe, just maybe, if we would embrace the attitude of Jesus and we would walk into the world every day and we would just serve people, no matter what, no matter who, just meet needs we could, because needs needed to be met. Then other people might eventually look at us and say, who is the Messiah? Because I trust you, and if you point him out, I believe. See, that's the power of serving. It occurred to me that there's one other great power that serving has. And I'm going to state it this way. Serving people helps them to understand God. See, here's the reality. None of us in this room or this world are very good at intuiting a correct understanding of God. We're just not. And so many people in our culture avoid God because they don't understand God. There are many who have a view of God like Adam and Eve developed a view of God. That God is restrictive. Remember, God planted this garden, and he said you can eat anything you want, and you can do all this stuff. There's only one thing I don't want you to do. Don't eat of this one tree, because if you do, bad things happen. And then the evil one shows up in the form of a servant and goes, no. God's holding out on you. That's why he said don't do it. Because the day you eat of that, your eyes will be open and you'll be like God. He's saying God's restricting you. God's keeping you from the pinnacle experience of life. God is keeping you from joy, from happiness, from thrill, from excitement. God is keeping you from the upper level of life. He's just restricting your life. And they bought in, believed that view of God, and things didn't turn out so well. But there's a lot of people today that view God the same way. He's so restrictive. You can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do the other thing. God takes all the fun out of life. He kind of hampers you in. You lead this mundane, boring existence. There's no thrill, there's no excitement. God's restrictive. A lot of people think that. Maybe you do. And other people kind of have a Peter kind of view of God. Early in Peter's experience with Jesus. He'd already spent a little time with them, but had gone back to the family business of fishing. And Jesus walks by the seashore, and they've been fishing all night long, hadn't caught anything. And Jesus goes, hey, why don't you go back out? I realize you just put a 12-hour shift in. You've worked like dogs and got nothing. Boy, put the nets back in the boat, go back out, and if you fish over there, then you'll catch a bunch of fish. And you know, Peter's like, you know, look, you're a great Messiah, but you're just a bad fisherman. Because this is not the time today, and that's not the place. And nevertheless, at your word, this guy, you know, we have to read the sarcasm in the Bible sometimes. You know, that's a horrible idea, but because you say so and you're Jesus, here we go. And they go back out and they throw the net over the wrong side of the boat in the wrong spot at the wrong time of day, and they get so many fish that the nets break when they try to pull it in. And they try and drag it to shore, and Peter's just staring at this whole thing. And he's going, Jesus knows everything. Jesus can do anything. He really is like the Son of God who knows it all. And remember what Peter's response was? He falls on his knees and he says, get away from me, Jesus, because I am a sinful man. Because if you really are God and you really are that kind of stuff, then here's what I know. I know I am flawed, I know I am imperfect, and I know that you're just going to condemn me and beat me, so just leave because you don't want to hang around a sinner like me. And a lot of people have that view of God. That God doesn't want to hang around people who are flawed, morally suspect, broken, scarred, checkered past, caught up in something. So because I don't want to be condemned, just, you know. And others are like the citizens of Athens. Paul the missionary showed up there. He went to a park in the middle of town, and the park had this proliferation of statues. They were all statues erected to different gods. There was like one for every god. But the Athenians, they were like, well, you know what? Yeah, we don't really know what the real God is, or if there is a God, but let's have one to every God. And just in case maybe there really is a true God that we miss, let's put up a statue to the unknown God. Because you get to their mindset. Their mindset was, God is largely out of touch and irrelevant to real life. But maybe if we throw up a statue, it'll make him happy enough that he'll just leave us alone. And there's a lot of people, they have that kind of view of God. That God's out there somewhere doing something, but pretty much irrelevant to my life. But maybe if I throw God a bone and occasionally I do this or do that, then maybe that'll make God happy enough that he'll just stay out of my life. And I'm thinking that if any of us thought that God was restrictive and condemning and largely irrelevant, who could be placated with a statue, why in the world would we want to seek after something like that? How to avoid it too? So many people misunderstand God, and they misunderstand God because of what they so often see in the lives of people who say they know him. Because too many people who say they know Jesus, who say they know God, are restrictive and condemning, and they act as though God is largely irrelevant, and you throw them a bone by maybe going to church on Sunday, and then he can stay out of my life.